Hi there, everybody.
Danny Vaughn from Taiketo here. How you doing? Doing another one of my Q&A videos. If you're not familiar with these, fans send me questions that they would like to have addressed or spoken about, and when I have time, I get to them. Whether it's about Taiketo or my solo stuff or absolutely anything. I'm willing to blabber about it. So I have a kind of a two-parter. Two questions sent from Brad Littlejohn, and we won't penalize him for the two questions because they're both good ones. First one's an easy one. Do I keep in touch with Michael, Brooke, and Jimmy, the original members of Taiketo? And the answer is, oh, yes, indeed, I do. Particularly Michael and I are thick as thieves, always talking almost every day, WhatsApping each other back and forth. You know, what men of our age talk about. The weather, how our knees hurt, what medications we're taking, but lots of other stuff. And we've had a whole new relationship open up because we're not discussing as much music and touring and recording and budgets and all the stuff that we used to spend our time talking about. So now we just get to be friends and talk about life, the universe, and everything, and drop in and visit each other once in a while. And it's just expanded our relationship and our brotherly love for one another, and I couldn't be happier. I'm not as in touch with Brooke and Jimmy as much, but we do email regularly from time to time, and all is good, basically. All good friends, and I'm very, very glad for that. Can't say that with too many bands that have been around for 30-something years. Brad then asked, he said, you talked about what happened post Strength in Numbers and how you left the music industry for a while. Could you talk about what brought you back and how Riverside had a big part of it? I think what he's referring to there is Soldiers and Sailors on Riverside, which was my first solo album coming out of retirement. So yeah, I left Taiketo at the end of 1995. We had toured very, very hard all through Europe, and there were any number of reasons when you put them all together that signaled it was time for me to step back. And I really had no plans to get back into the music business. I'm not a fan of the music business. But I did keep writing songs. And one of those songs came out of a visit that I took back to where I'm from, New York City. Wasn't born there, but lived there from the age of 7 to about 18. And that's very formative, and I just will always think of myself as a New Yorker. So I lived on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and there is I was just trying to think about, I've got a picture I can show you. Hang on. Don't go away now. I'm still here. There is a monument on at Riverside Park at 91st Street. On the west side of Manhattan that borders the Hudson River, and is called the Monument to Soldiers and Sailors of Foreign Wars. Sorry for all the glare from the computer, but you kind of get the general idea. Used to play there a lot as a kid, and so I had gone to visit a relative who lived nearby, and I just started walking the old home ground. And it's where you grew up. It's still got your voice is still in the walls, I suppose, and in my case, in the park. And I kind of relived a little bit of my childhood revisiting PS 75 on 96th Street, where I went to school for a while. And the song kind of really just started to come to me. It was starting to snow. It was a particularly beautiful day, and so I started writing in my head this song about, I saw myself standing on my old home ground, though I've heard that you never can go back again, as the first snows of winter like hope drifted down. And, that's kind of just all came out, and the story came out. And I had a little tape machine and a little sequencer that I just kept my ideas on, kept writing them down, kept recording them, just in case, someday, who knows. And it was Michael Arbini that, when we reignited our friendship somewhere around 1997, he started asking me if I was still writing music. And I said, yeah, actually. And at some point or another, we got together and he listened to the stuff I'd been writing, and he pushed me. He said, we need to make an album. Let's make it a solo album if it's not Taiketo material. So that's kind of how it all came about, very, very organically. And then we found a small record label in the UK that was interested in the music I was making and releasing a Danny Vaughan solo project. Michael introduced me to Kyle Cummings, a keyboard player, and we got Jamie Scott back from the Strength and Numbers lineup in Taiketo to play bass. PJ Zitarosa was also found a friend of Michael's, and he came in to play guitar on my first 2 solo albums, this one and Fearless. And it just reignited my love of making music. And you just put it out there and hope that somebody out there likes it and wants to listen to it. And that was the year 2000. So 25 years later, new Taiketo album coming out in March. And I've got plenty of material for another solo album in the near future. So somehow or other, the music keeps on rolling. Hope that answers your question, and thanks very much for asking. Please hit like, subscribe. Want to get as many people out there checking out our videos, where there will be a lot more coming in the coming year, that's for sure. Have a great summer.